You blink your eyes open, the light filtering through heavy curtains casting long shadows on the wooden floorboards. It's morning, but not the one you're used to. Your body feels weighed down, like something invisible is pressing on your chest, coiling around your waist. You gasp or try to. The air doesn't come easily. It's like your ribs are wrapped in iron. You're not dreaming. This isn't your bed, not your time. Welcome to London, 1875. Your fingers brush stiff cotton sheets. You try to sit up, but you're bound, held tight by a corset that's already begun reshaping your body before breakfast. Miss Alinina, please hold still, says a voice behind you. It's Agnes, your lady's maid. She's focused, her hands moving quickly and firmly. You grip the edge of a polished wooden chair as she tugs the laces. Every pull sends a jolt through your core, rearranging your organs into something acceptable. Something fashionable. You wonder how anyone ever found love when just getting dressed felt like warfare. You're 21. This is your third season out in society. That means if you don't secure a match soon, a proposal, a ring, a future husband, you'll start sliding dangerously close to spinster status. That's not just a social label. It's a sentence, a mark that tells everyone you've failed to do the one thing expected of you, marry. Agnes pulls again. You flinch. Lady Harrington's tea is today. She reminds you, as if your ribs don't already know. Mr. Blackwood will be there. You nod numbly. Of course he will. You don't hate Mr. Blackwood. You just don't feel anything at all when you think of him. He's tall, polite, tidy in an almost surgical way. His family owns property in both Kent and Yorkshire. Wealthy, well-bred, widely admired. Painfully boring, but none of that matters. It's not about love. It's about eligibility, property, alliances. You are, for lack of a better term, merchandise, and you've already been on the shelf too long. What your mother doesn't say, but is constantly implying with pursed lips and sidelong glances, is that your younger sister is waiting in the wings. 2 unmarried daughters out at once would be both expensive and humiliating. So here you are, hoping to get picked. Soon, the season runs April through August, timed conveniently with Parliament. That's when the city swells with aristocrats. Country families take up residence in townhouses, and drawing rooms bloom with tea roses and eligible bachelors. It's a marketplace, dressed up in satin and sugar, and you are both the product and the bidder. Later, in the carriage, your mother adjusts her gloves as the city scrolls past the window. Don't be standoffish, she reminds you. Mr. Blackwood is heir to a considerable fortune. His family owns half of Kent. You nod, repeating the words silently. Property in Kent, property in Yorkshire. Try to look thrilled. As you step out of the carriage, the footman offers a gloved hand. You take it lightly, barely touching. Your mother ascends the stairs ahead of you to Lady Harrington's house, where the first wave of scrutiny will begin. Inside, the parlor is warm and thick with perfume and secrets. The whole thing feels like a masquerade, but without the masks. You engage in the required small talk, your voice practiced, polite, measured, no sudden laughs, no bold questions. Compatibility must be assessed without real conversation. It's like evaluating someone based on how they shop for fruit, vague, inefficient, and oddly stressful. Eventually, Mr. Blackwood makes his way over. He bows, you curtsy. May I be so bold as to request the honor of calling on you tomorrow afternoon? He asks. This is the ritual. This is significant. A call means he wants to visit you. Officially, supervised of course, you accept. He bows again, and with that, the courtship begins. The next afternoon, he arrives promptly. Your mother sits at the far end of the drawing room, pretending to read her embroidery pattern, but definitely listening. He bows again. You exchange pleasantries. The conversation is safe, sterile, The space between you 6 inches exactly would be a canyon. But this is how it's done. You play the piano, he turns pages, that's allowed. You walk through the botanical gardens. He helps you down from the carriage, carefully holding only your gloved fingers. He comments on the orchids, you smile. A flower seller near the gate catches your eye. She offers small posies, bundled with ribbons. You hesitate, then pick one up. An impulse. The bouquet has yellow carnations mixed in. You freeze. Yellow carnations mean you disappoint me. You exchange it quickly, choosing violets and forget me nots instead. They whisper faithfulness and true love, language of flowers, another tool in the arsenal of Victorian dating, more expressive than anything you're allowed to say aloud. Later that evening, your mother mentions, almost casually, that Mr. Blackwood has likely spoken to your father. The implication is clear. A proposal might be imminent. You blanch. Mother, we've barely spoken. It's only been 3 meetings. She scoffs. Your father and I were engaged after 2. Emily Harrington got engaged after 1.5. That's how it's done. You retreat to your room. Agnes helps you undress, brushing out your hair. He's kind. You offer unsure. And he has thoughts, I think, real ones. Agnes nods, saying gently, a crack in the perfect gentleman's mask. That's something, at least. But the mask is all most people ever see. The next morning, the household buzzes. Refreshments are prepared. Your father waits in his study. Your mother's excitement is palpable. You're banished upstairs while Mr. Blackwood arrives. You hear the low murmur of voices downstairs, a door creak, footsteps on carpet. Then a knock. Your mother calls you. You walk into the drawing room. Your father looks solemn. Mr. Blackwood stands and clears his throat. Miss Pembroke, he says formally, would you do me the great honor of becoming my wife? Time pauses. Your heart thumps so loud it drowns out everything else. He continues, his voice lowering slightly. Before I make my formal proposal, I have to ask, are you certain about me, about this? You meet his eyes. For the first time, something real flickers there. You nod, and just like that, you're engaged. There are rules now. Gloves must stay on. You can hold hands, but only with fabric between your skin. You may exchange gifts, but nothing too personal. He gives you a book of poetry, a gold locket, a pair of gloves stitched by hand. Each token tiptoes the line between appropriate and affectionate. Your mother announces the engagement to friends and family. Planning begins. You can't breathe again, but this time from the wedding dress. Ivory silk, tightly corseted. Pearl buttons march down your spine. Beauty requires sacrifice. Your mother mutters. You wonder if you'll faint before saying your vows. Maybe no one would notice. Agnes brushes your hair, her hands gentle now. Are you nervous? She asks. Yes. You whisper, but maybe also hopeful. Mr. Blackwood, Henry, visits your dressing room that night. Not alone, of course, but close enough. He speaks low so others can't hear. I've spoken to the steward. He tells you, the cottage I mentioned, I've begun renovations. We could have it, someday, a place of our own. You feel warmth bloom in your chest. A space just yours, free from watchful eyes. He reaches for your hand. You flinch at first, improper. Then you leave your hand in his. No apologies. That becomes your language. The door closes gently behind you as the final syllables of Mr. Blackwood's proposal settle into the air like dust. For a moment, you just stand there, barely breathing. Your father clears his throat and clasps his hands behind his back. We are delighted, he says with all the dignity expected of a Victorian patriarch. You have our blessing. You curtsy automatically. It's as if your limbs remember the script better than your heart does. Later, in the privacy of your room, you're finally alone with the moment. Agnes sits silently, folding your gloves. Her eyes flick to your face. Is it what you wanted, miss? You hesitate, it's something. You answer, the answer feels like lace, delicate, beautiful, and see-through. The next morning, everything is different, though nothing has changed. You're still corseted, still groomed, still trailed by your mother's expectations like a perfume you didn't choose, but now you're an engaged woman. The title glides off people's tongues with pride. Miss Pembroke, the future Mrs. Blackwood. People say it as if it's a trophy. Mr. Blackwood, Henry, arrives the next day bearing a small box. Inside is a delicate locket, gold with fine engraving. You open it to find a lock of his hair inside. You blink, surprised, then remember this is the Victorian equivalent of a keepsake photo. Intimate yet proper, personal yet approved by centuries of etiquette. Your mother beams, such a thoughtful gift. She gushes, nothing too forward. You nod, feeling the cool metal of the locket warm slowly in your palm. Other gifts follow, a hand-stitched pair of kid gloves in the softest cream leather, a book of poetry with an inscription in Henry's even handwriting for shared silences and future conversations. You run your fingers over the words again and again, trying to decode their meaning. Did he write that himself, or did someone suggest it? Did he mean you, specifically, or was it just another step in the courtship dance? At the breakfast table, your mother rattles off lists of things to be done. We'll need the seamstress on Thursday. The caterer must be secured by month's end. The florist of Corso and Lady Harrington recommends her pianoforte, a teacher, for the ceremony music. She says it all in one breath, like exhaling a lifetime of plans. The house changes tempo. Invitations are written in looping script. Your father's study becomes a war room of contracts and dowries. And you, well, you become a symbol of the family's success, of your mother's taste, of every woman's ultimate duty fulfilled. You begin your trousseau, the collection of garments, linens, and personal items that will become your new life's wardrobe. It's more than embroidery and lace. It's a public performance of readiness. Your mother's friends come to inspect it, fingering the seams of your nightgowns, commenting on the modesty of your petticoats, the neatness of your stitchwork. Ah, hand-done embroidery, one woman coos, and such fine cotton, you feel exposed more so than when wearing a corset. This isn't your wardrobe. It's your worth laid out on linen tables under the eyes of society. Henry continues his visits, always punctual, always proper. He sits beside you at family dinners, turning pages while you play a Mozart piece, just difficult enough to impress, but safe enough not to risk a mistake. You talk, but only in the margins, small glances, slight jokes, nothing that would scandalize a passing aunt. Still, a rhythm begins to emerge, a subtle understanding. One evening, after everyone has gone, you ask him a real question. What makes you happy, Henry? He looks momentarily startled. Then, quietly, he answers, solitude sometimes, and books, and not having to perform all the time. His eyes flick to yours, vulnerable. It's exhausting, this theater we live in. For the first time, you don't feel like you're talking to a role. You're talking to a person. That night, Agnes brushes your hair, humming softly. You replay the moment in your mind. He said he finds all of this exhausting. You whisper. Agnes pauses. That's unusual, she says, and refreshing, I might add. The next morning, you catch yourself humming as you pour your tea. One day, your father receives a formal letter from Henry's family. A meeting is arranged between the men. Your mother can barely contain her excitement. It's all happening, she declares, clapping her hands like a child. You're told to remain upstairs to rest, but resting is impossible when your entire future is being bartered downstairs like fine china. Your father's face is calm when he calls for you. He's here, he says simply. You descend the stairs, feeling like each step is another degree of certainty you can't reverse. In the drawing room, Henry stands as you enter. He smiles, nervously, sincerely. Your father gestures. We've discussed the arrangement. He says, now it's your moment. Henry steps forward. He bows. Miss Pembroke. He begins, would you do me the great honor of becoming my wife? The question floats in the air. And yet what lingers more is what he says next, softly, just for you. I know we haven't had the chance to truly know each other, but I believe we could, if we try. You say yes. He kisses your hand briefly. Your mother, watching from the hallway, wipes away a tear she will later deny shedding. Days pass. The engagement is now public knowledge. You walk in the park and heads turn. People whisper. A man joins your family at church, and suddenly the pews become a stage. Where you sit, who you walk beside, how close your elbows get. Every detail broadcasts a message. The rules intensify. No first names in public. No time alone, even briefly. You are allowed to touch, but only gloved hands. And even then, only briefly, you begin to crave those fleeting touches. A brush of fingers when he hands you a teacup. The moment he steadies your elbow as you step over a puddle. None of it is permitted, but all of it is meaningful. One evening, you catch a rare moment of privacy. The drawing room is empty for a moment too long. You reach for his hand without thinking. When you realize what you've done, you jerk away. Sorry, you mumble. He holds your hand more firmly. No apologies needed. He says quietly, not between us, not here. You smile, a real smile. Later, as you lie in bed, the locket presses against your collarbone. You open it. The lock of hair is still there, golden and strange, but it means something now. Not everything, but something. The wedding is still weeks away, but it already consumes everything. Morning, noon, and night. The topic shadows your every breath. Your mother speaks of floral arrangements in her sleep. Agnes can no longer brush your hair without also listing the ribbon colors you'll need to coordinate with the table runners. Your life has narrowed to the width of a wedding aisle you haven't yet walked down. Henry visits regularly, still following all the rules, but something is changing. It's in the way he speaks now, not just politely, but with warmth that flickers at the edges of propriety. You start to see it too, that softening, that tentative shift from strangers to something else. Something unspoken. One morning, your mother stands before your bedroom mirror adjusting the trim on your day dress, her expression unusually tight. She clears her throat. There are things. She begins. You need to understand before your wedding day. You go still. The talk, every girl fears it. The vague, awkward ritual whispered about in hushed tones among friends. She doesn't meet your eyes. A wife has duties, she says, her hands still busy with your collar. To her husband, certain expectations. She stares at a point just past your shoulder, speaking as if you're not there. These things may be uncomfortable at first, but one adjusts, one must. She offers no details. No comfort, just a stiff nod, that is all. You sit there long after she leaves, heart pounding louder than you expected. Not from fear exactly, but from the sudden, yawning unknown. This isn't just embroidery and invitations. This is your body, your privacy, your life. Later that evening, you find Agnes folding linens. You hesitate in the doorway, then speak. Agnes, what really happens on the wedding night? She pauses, her hands stilling. She looks at you not with alarm or judgment, but with gentleness. Well, she says carefully, it's different for everyone. My sister said it was terrifying at first, but then not so bad. My cousin rather enjoys it. My aunt says it's a woman's burden to bear. She shrugs, honest. Truth is, no one really tells you. You just find your way, hopefully with someone kind. You whisper, do you think Henry is kind? Agnes tilts her head, thinking, I think he might be, or at least trying to be. That's more than most girls get. You nod slowly, wrapping your arms around yourself as if your own skin might explain what's ahead. The next afternoon, Henry surprises you with a letter not passed through your mother, but slipped discreetly into your hand during a garden walk. Read it when you're alone, he murmurs. You wait until the lamps are lit and the house has settled into its evening quiet. In your room, you unfold the paper, heart racing. It's not flowery, not grand. Just him. He writes about his study, the quiet hours he spends reading. He confesses how absurd he feels asking you about china patterns when what he really wants is to know what books you like, what colors you dream in, what you think about when you're not performing the role of bride-to-be. By the end of the page, your hands are trembling. You reply that same night, carefully, nervously. You write of how you hate dancing but love music, how you often imagine living somewhere quiet by a stream with time to breathe and no lace to wear. You write of how strange it feels to want to be known and how surprising it is to maybe, just maybe, be getting that chance. The letters become a ritual, folded and slipped between gloved hands, read by lamplight, responded to by candle. They become your secret courtship, running beneath the proper one. No one else knows, and in those quiet pages, you begin to feel something warm and alive grow between the two of you, not passion, perhaps, but promise. Still, the performance continues. The engagement means public obligations, dinners hosted in your honor, performances where you must sit beside Henry, your posture perfect, your smile effortless. One evening, a private musicale hosted by the Wilsons becomes a kind of endurance test. You sit beside Henry on a tufted settee, the mandatory 6 inches of space between you, as Miss Henderson unleashes a shrill soprano onto the unsuspecting guests. Henry leans slightly toward you. If the dog begins to howl, I'm claiming sudden illness, he whispers. You stifle a laugh, covering your mouth with a gloved hand. Your mother glances over sharply. Later, after Mr. Thompson's aggressive pianoforte, a solo, and Mrs. Wilson's daughter's lackluster violin, you escape to the back of the room under the guise of needing air. Henry follows discreetly. You speak quietly near the balcony doors. There are moments, he says, when I forget the rules, when I wish I could just talk to you without watchers. You nod. I wish that too. He takes a risk. After we're married, it doesn't have to be like this. We could make it different, softer. You look up at him, searching. He seems sincere, hopeful, and a little afraid. I'd like that, you whisper. Very much. He smiles, not the polite kind, the real kind. Back home, preparations accelerate. Every drawer and shelf is overtaken by fabrics, ribbon samples, measuring tapes, and invitation proofs. You can barely find your own brush among the chaos. Your trousseau grows by the day, dresses for morning calls, for visiting hours, for church, for dinner, for informal walks, for sitting quietly with embroidery. Modest nightgowns, day wear in sober tones, slippers, gloves, petticoats, handkerchiefs, all embroidered by you. There's even a public viewing. Family, friends, and distant cousins arrive to sip tea and murmur over the quality of your linens. Such fine stitching, they coo, she'll make a proper wife. You smile and curtsy and nod, all while your insides clench at the thought of living under such constant appraisal. That night, you and Agnes sit by your small fireplace. She mends a stocking. You read quietly until the flames dim. Agnes, you ask softly, do you think marriage can be more than duty? She looks up. It depends on the people and what they're willing to see in each other. You think of Henry's letter, of your response, of his smile. You nod. Yes. You whisper, I think maybe it can. There's something different in the air now, a kind of electricity humming just under the surface of every moment, every breath, every word, every glance between you and Henry seems to carry more weight. It's like walking a tightrope strung between anticipation and uncertainty. The wedding is days away. Everything is ready, or supposed to be. The guest list is finalized, the flowers chosen, the music rehearsed. Your mother checks the seating chart every hour, as if noble titles might shift like tectonic plates, if not constantly monitored. You've never seen the house so full. Relatives you barely know descend like well-dressed pigeons, trailing perfumes and opinions. The drawing room becomes a war zone of silk swatches, menus, and the latest gossip. One aunt insists your veil should be longer. Another disapproves of the lemon cake. Too modern, she sniffs. A proper wedding deserves fruitcake. You nod and smile and thank them for their wisdom, all while feeling your spirit slowly wrapped in layers of lace and expectation. Henry comes by more often now, under the pretense of helping with decisions. He sits politely in the corner, nodding through conversations about table linens and carriage routes. But sometimes, when the others are momentarily distracted, you catch his eyes, and in them a spark of mischief, or relief, or maybe just recognition that yes, this is all absurd, and yes, we're both surviving it. One afternoon, while inspecting floral arrangements for the 5th time, he leans over, lowering his voice. If this rose business turns into a duel between the mothers, I'm fleeing to Scotland. Come with me. You grin, only if we take the cake with us. These small, stolen jokes become your refuge, but behind the laughter, something else simmers. A quiet fear. It comes at night, mostly, when the candles are out and the house is hushed. You lie awake beneath your embroidered coverlet, staring at the ceiling. In a few days, you won't live here anymore. You'll wake up in a different bed, in a different house, beside a man you barely know. Will he touch you gently? Will he even ask before he does? You think about the talk your mother gave, and how her words never touched the heart of your anxiety. She spoke of duty, never desire, of obligation, never choice. You want to believe Henry is kind. His letters, his glances, the softness in his voice, they suggest a man with patience. But still, the uncertainty of that first night looms like a storm on the edge of the horizon. The house grows quieter the day before the wedding. It's not calm exactly, but expectant, like everyone's holding their breath. You're dressed in a soft morning robe, seated near the window when Henry is announced. Unexpectedly, improperly, alone, your mother rises, flustered. Henry, Mr. Blackwood, this is... He stops her with a slight bow. Forgive me, I only ask for 5 minutes, outside, where it's decent. No impropriety, I swear. Your father glances up from his paper, says nothing, then nods. You're outside before you fully register your own heartbeat. The garden is damp from last night's rain. He walks beside you, hands behind his back, unusually serious. I wanted to see you, not the bride. You stop? Aren't they the same? He looks at you then, really looks. I hope not. I hope what we're doing isn't about costumes and roles and expectations. I hope it's still you and me. You say nothing for a moment. The wind lifts a strand of your hair, and you let it fall without correcting it. I'm afraid, you admit, quietly, not of the marriage, of the moment when all of this ends, and it's just the two of us, in a room, and I don't know what to do. His expression softens. Nor do I. You blink, startled. He goes on, I've read books, heard the talk, but truthfully, I've never done this before. I don't want to get it wrong, especially not with you. You exhale something that almost sounds like a laugh, but it's cracked at the edges. He reaches for your hand. No gloves this time, just warmth. Let's figure it out together. You nod, once, firmly. That evening, your family hosts the traditional supper for relatives and close friends. Toasts are made. Your father stands, glass in hand, and for once, his voice wavers. My daughter has always carried grace in her bones, he says, and now she steps into something greater. We are proud and grateful. You watch him, cheeks flushed, hands trembling slightly around the glass. Afterward, you excuse yourself and retreat to your room, shutting the door gently behind you. Agnes is there, packing the last of your trousseau. She turns as you enter, eyes shining. You're nearly a wife. You laugh softly. Strange, isn't it? She nods, but you're ready. You sit at your dressing table while she pins your hair, her fingers deft and familiar. I'll miss you, she says, not meeting your eyes. You glance at her reflection. I'll miss you too. When the room is finally still, you change into your nightdress. The fire is low. You walk to your wardrobe one last time. Run your fingers along the edge of the door, then open the drawer with the locket inside. You hold it tightly, thumb pressing against the engraved back, and breathe. Tomorrow, everything changes. The morning light arrives quietly, like a secret slipping through the curtains. You wake before the house stirs, before the bells chime, before the voices begin. It's still, holy almost. You lie there a moment, wrapped in the soft breath of dawn, feeling the weight of what's coming pressed gently against your ribs. Today is your wedding day. Agnes enters with a soft knock, carrying a small tray. Tea, toast, a few berries. You look at it, then at her, and she smiles. You don't have to eat, just sip, for the nerves. You nod, your mouth too dry to speak. She helps you sit, gently straightening your hair, smoothing the robe across your shoulders. The house is buzzing already, she whispers, but no one will bother you for a while. You whisper back, good. Downstairs, your mother orchestrates a symphony of clattering footsteps, perfume clouds, and floral chaos. Guests are arriving early. The florist is late. The carriage driver is asking about road closures. Someone's misplaced the gloves for the ring bearer, but none of it touches you, not yet. Your room is a sanctuary of silk and hush. The dress hangs near the wardrobe, a cathedral of fabric and thread. Dozens of hours stitched into that bodice, every detail planned down to the last pearl. Agnes helps you into your underthings first: corset, chemise, stockings. Each layer tightens the moment, brings it closer, then the dress itself. When she finally fastens the final hook, you turn to face the mirror. You look like someone else, regal, untouchable. The dress transforms you into the role you're about to play. And yet, beneath the veil and satin, your heart beats loud and human. There's a knock. Your mother enters, her eyes shimmering but her spine impossibly straight. She doesn't say you look beautiful. She says you're ready. Then she takes your hand. Let me walk with you. The walk to the carriage is short, but feels eternal. Each step an echo, each breath counted. The door opens, and you step in. A few minutes later, the church rises into view. It's magnificent. Candles flicker in tall iron sconces. The scent of lilies hangs heavy in the air. Everyone you know, and many you don't, fill the pews. Heads turn, whispers flutter like moths, but you only see one thing: Henry. He stands at the altar in deep navy, shoulders square, expression composed, but his eyes search for you, and when they find you, they soften. Your father takes your arm. Steady, he murmurs, and then the music begins. The walk is surreal. The train of your gown trails behind like a ghost. Your fingers ache with how tightly you're gripping your bouquet. Every step closer to him feels heavier and lighter at once. And then suddenly, you're there, standing beside him. 2 breaths, 1 glance, the start of everything. The ceremony begins, and the words wash over you like waves. Vows, rings, promises that feel both ancient and terrifyingly new. When Henry speaks, his voice is clear, but you hear the hitch in it, the vulnerability. I take you, with all I know of you, and all I don't yet understand. And when it's your turn, you look straight into his eyes. I offer myself, not perfectly, but wholly, a beat of silence, then the declaration, husband and wife. The applause is polite, decorous, but in your chest, something wild is breaking open. Henry takes your hand not as a formality, but as an anchor. And you walk out together, not just newly married, but entirely different than when you walked in. The carriage ride afterward is oddly quiet. Just the two of you now, no chaperones, no distance. Henry looks at you. Are you all right? You nod, terrified. He smiles, me too. And then you both laugh, really laugh, like children caught in the middle of a game no one explained the rules to. The reception is a blur. Toasts are made, dances danced, a sea of congratulations drowns you, but even amid the noise, you find small moments. A hand slipped around your waist as you turn. A quiet thank you whispered in your ear after someone praises your table settings. A shared look across a room filled with clinking glasses and strained compliments. As the day fades, the carriage arrives again, this time to take you to your new home. You step in with Henry, your hands resting together in the space between you. The journey is long and slow. Neither of you speaks much. There's a stillness that feels sacred, not awkward, not distant, just full, a pause before the next breath. When you arrive, the house is candle-lit. Quiet, a maid greets you, offers wine, disappears. Henry leads you inside, into a parlor where the fire's already lit. He doesn't touch you, not yet, just pours you a glass. You sit across from him, sipping slowly, watching the flames. I don't want to rush anything, he says gently. We can take this at your pace. You set the glass down, and yours too. He smiles, together then. You both rise, and in the bedroom, nothing happens the way you feared. There's hesitation, yes, but also care. 100 tiny questions asked with fingertips, eyes, pauses. You're not lovers yet, not entirely, but you begin to bridge that final space with kindness, with trust. Later, wrapped in the hush of clean sheets and shared warmth, you stare at the ceiling and realize you did it. You crossed the line. You are no longer a girl waiting for a life to begin. You are someone's wife. But more than that, you are someone choosing to be known. The days after the wedding pass in soft, golden waves. You wake slowly now, no longer to the rustle of servants or the distant clamor of a family home, but to the quiet rhythm of shared breath beside you. Henry sleeps facing you most mornings, one hand curled near his chin like a boy lost in some gentle dream. It still surprises you, this version of him, unguarded, soft, real. The house is large but not cold. Sunlight streams in through the tall windows of the drawing room, warming the parquet floor. You explore each corner slowly, touching banisters, testing doorknobs, peeking into rooms that have long sat still. It's not quite yours yet, but it's beginning to feel like it could be. Your days follow no real schedule at first. Meals are brought without need for asking. Letters arrive in quiet stacks. Neighbors send their regards. A few friends visit, always politely, never for long. You host them with tea and practiced smiles, though your cheeks ache from holding the right expression too long. Still, there are moments of ease. Henry takes you walking through the gardens at dusk, your hand looped through the crook of his arm. He tells you stories of each statue, each tree, as if they're old friends. There's a walnut tree near the edge of the property line where he carved his initials as a boy. You touch the worn bark, smiling at the faded HB. Sometimes you sit by the hearth in the evenings reading in silence. Other times he reads aloud. His voice deepens when he forgets himself. You learn that he hates poetry but loves maps. He learns that you hum when you concentrate and always count the steps from the library to the kitchen. 7 exactly, but it's not all quiet intimacy. There are difficult days too, days when the silence stretches too long, when he forgets to say goodbye before riding out to town, when you feel like a guest again in your own home. One afternoon, you find yourself crying in the bathing room for no reason you can name. The scent of lavender soap reminds you of your childhood, of Agnes, of your mother's hands smoothing your hair. You feel adrift between girlhood and womanhood, between who you were and who you are still becoming. You never tell Henry about that moment, but he must sense something shift. That night, instead of reading or retiring early, he brings 2 mugs of mulled wine to the library and suggests a game of chess. You don't play well, and he pretends not to notice. You laugh when you lose your queen in 3 moves. It's not much, but it's something. A few weeks into the marriage, you receive a letter from your mother. It's stiff at first, full of family news and polite inquiries, but near the end, her tone softens. I imagine you're learning much. She writes, some of it beautiful, some of it difficult. That is marriage. You sit with her words for a long time, your thumb brushing over the fading ink. That night, you write back, and for the first time, you don't simply say what's expected. You tell her the truth, not all of it, but enough. You say you are learning to listen more, to speak less, to trust slowly. She replies a week later, good, that means you're doing it right. Spring arrives gently, the trees outside your window turn green again. Birds nest in the eaves, the world shifts. So do you. You find your rhythm, your own way of doing things. You take over the correspondence for the household. You begin sketching again in the mornings. You host dinners once a month for nearby families and find, to your surprise, that you enjoy them, especially the quiet satisfaction of watching guests relax in your presence. You and Henry are closer now, though not in loud or dramatic ways. It's in the way he waits for your opinion before deciding anything about the house, in the way he runs his fingers along your shoulder when you pass him, in how you share a glance across a crowded room and know instantly what the other is thinking. Then, one morning, you feel it, a heaviness, a pull. You wait a week, then 2. The physician confirms it with a quiet nod. It's early still, but yes, you are with child. The words land like thunder and snowfall, loud and soft all at once. You walk home slowly, your hand resting against your lower stomach as if to protect something you can't yet feel. You wait until dinner to tell him, not because you're afraid, but because you need the quiet, you need the right moment. It comes as he's finishing his wine, swirling it absent-mindedly, reading a note from one of the tenants. I'm pregnant, you say simply. He stops, looks up, everything freezes for a second. Then his face splits, first with surprise, then with something gentler, reverence almost. He comes to your side, kneels, presses his forehead against your hands. You don't speak, you don't need to. The days that follow feel dreamlike. You make plans, talk about rooms, names, what kind of parent you each want to be. Henry insists on building a cradle himself. You laugh, then see he's serious. The pregnancy is not easy. Some days you are exhausted. Some days you cry without reason. But he is there, present in a way that steadies you. When the baby finally arrives, after a long, harrowing night, you hold her to your chest and sob. Not from pain, not even from joy, but from release. She is tiny and red and perfect, and as Henry stands beside you, cradling her with the most fragile hands you've ever seen, you feel the world shift again. You are no longer just a wife, you are a mother, and somehow, despite everything, despite how it all began with gloves and rules and social scripts, you are also still yourself, more yourself than you've ever been.